In the headlines, employers told to hire persons with disabilities or government will make it mandatory. Tourism players advised to focus on refreshing products and continuous training to remain competitive. A coordinated approach suggested to treat females who are addicted to drugs. And in sports, Tommaso Layson leads a list of Bajan Surfers in the round of 64 at the Barbados Surf Pro.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening and welcome. I'm Tisha Hines with the details to the news. Determined to make Barbados a more inclusive society, government has told employers they have a few years to adjust their hiring practices to accommodate people with disabilities, or it will be made mandatory. This warning was delivered by Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Kirk Humphrey. He served notice while addressing the graduation ceremony for the National Disabilities Unit Sign Language and Flower Arranging classes. Anesta Henry has more on this story.
3 years. That's the timeline businesses are being given to begin hiring people with disabilities. Minister of People Empowerment Kirk Humphrey says government sees the inclusion of people with disabilities in the workforce as serious business.
We had initially put in the draft legislation mandatory numbers for work. Like persons had to hire a percentage of persons with disabilities. And during the conversations, people said, well, give us a little chance to try it voluntarily, give the private sector a chance. The education system is not fair, give the education system a chance. So we've done all of that now, we're working on that. But I'm promising you that in 3 years, if we do not see a change in the number of persons who are employed, then we are going to have to make it mandatory. And the government has already started that work. I think we would have done, they told me about 8 or 9 persons in the last year and a half or so.
Minister Humphrey is reminding Barbadians that the rights of persons with disabilities legislation is powerful because it needs to be.
I don't think there's any reason for us to celebrate or to boast because we have to make it powerful or things are not going to change. And what that says to me is that things are not changing on their own. And therefore, we have to do things to make sure that this country offers the best of its promise to everyone.
80 people completed the sign language course in Basic 1, 2, and intermediate levels through 8 classes held at 6 different venues between September and December 2024. 15 people completed the beginners and advanced flower arranging courses. Minister Humphrey is applauding those who took the leap to complete the sign language courses, especially those who did it because they have relatives or friends who are hearing impaired.
And I have said before that I think this should be taught in all schools. You know how easy this is for a child at primary school to learn? It becomes difficult when you get older. For a child at primary school, sign language is the easiest thing to learn. And the sign language works everywhere. And we keep talking about a second language, but this has to be it, in my opinion.
The graduates from the sign language course showcased their new skills to their family and friends who attended the ceremony. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Thanks, Anesta. Refreshing the tourism product and committing to continuous training for workers should be central pillars of the drive by stakeholders to remain competitive. That advice from Prime Minister Mia Motley as she addressed the Barbados Hotel and Tourism Association's first quarterly meeting for the year. Rachel Agard attended and files this report.
Tourism is going to be the country's main foreign exchange earner and provider of jobs and generator of economic activity for a very, very long time.
Prime Minister Mia Motley emphasizing the importance of Barbados' tourism industry during the BHTA's meeting. It's against this background that she says there is a need for a renewal both with respect to the product as well as training locally and regionally. Regarding the accommodation stock, she listed nearly a dozen properties under construction, expansion, or refurbishment. As it relates to training, she stresses that it is necessary to remain competitive, while adding that the power of Caribbean tourism cannot be separated from national tourism.
Absolute obligation for training and retraining and training and retraining and not one-off training because our people learn according to habit. So it is better to give them a half day every other month than to give them 2 or 3 days up front and then don't touch them again for another year. They need the refreshing and the renewal of training, locally and regionally. And that is why we've asked also that the CHTA meet with all of the regional institutions that train in hospitality, because we have to find ways of delivering that training in different modalities that make sense to the manner in which people work today.
Prime Minister Motley also urges the association to find the top 10 products in agriculture and manufacturing to support as industries across the entire region. Meanwhile, BHTA's chairman, Javon Griffith, urges the membership to reconsider the minimum night stay for home porting passengers. He says stakeholders must find ways to accommodate these passengers outside of the Christmas-New Year period.
As a tourism destination, we must find ways to better accommodate these cruise passengers, many of whom will return to Barbados and the wider Caribbean in the future. The economic impact of the cruise industry varies depending on whether a port is a home port or a port of call. I urge all of our members to reconsider the minimum length of stay policies outside of the usual Christmas-New Year period in order to better support our cruise tourism sector and its long-term economic benefits to the destination.
And Chief Executive Officer Ryan Ford says they have to continue to strategize collectively to ensure they can benefit in the future.
We must look to new markets and diversify the type of build, as well as our services and products that we're offering to attract more spend and attract it throughout 12 months of the year. As a membership body and our partners must make strategic decisions today should we want a brighter future of tomorrow. It is our choice as to how well we perform and the success of the Barbados economy.
Mr. Griffith says an increase in hotel occupancy from 60 to 90% will boost tourism's GDP contribution by 50%, generating more revenue than any tax hike can achieve. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs, Kirk Humphrey, suggests the traditional mechanisms government has relied on to build policy have not worked as they lacked extensive collaboration. He says the input of citizens is critical. Minister Humphrey was at the time addressing a Data in Action Youth Data Literacy as a Tool for Change workshop. The one-day session, organized by the United Nations Population Fund at UN House, was aimed at engaging young Barbadians in utilizing population data for evidence-based advocacy.
I think we're now reflecting on that and trying to improve on the way we do business. But I would say to you, first of all, really and truly, that everything is data. Everything. If I were to say in this room that I'm saying so many things that are just data points, for example, most of the people here are young females. Data point. Which tells me, of course, that most of the people here are not males. Data point. Most of the people here are young, under a certain age group. Again, another data point. I don't know where you live, but if I wanted to, I could find that out. Data. Everything is data. Data is in everything. And I think people hear the idea of data and they get confused by it. And they get intimidated by it.
Liaison Officer for Barbados at the UNFPA's Sub-Regional Office for the Caribbean, DeJane Gibbons, says data literacy is an essential skill for empowering Barbadians to make a difference in their communities.
Today we will embark on a collective journey to unlock the power of data to transform our communities, drawing on innovation, change, and advocacy. I would like to commend Minister Humphrey for his presence here. He is one of the United Nations and UNFPA champions on issues related to population and development, especially for vulnerable populations and key populations. And truly, both Minister Humphrey and his team at the ministry have served as strong partners as we implement our mandate, not just in Barbados, in the Eastern Caribbean, in Latin America, and the world.
Coming up, a multifaceted approach recommended for treating to females with drug addiction. The Organization of American States, OAS, has heard from the National Council on Substance Abuse that a coordinated approach based on several factors is required to address the challenge of treating to females with drug addiction. The message was conveyed by manager of the NCASA and chairman of the Inter-American Drug Abuse Control Commission's expert group on demand reduction, Betty Hunt. She was among the panel for a discussion organized by the OAS on treatment of substance abuse use disorders in women in the Americas. Ms. Hunt says research in Barbados shows most of the barriers affecting women from seeking help are external.
These barriers are related to their children, they're external, a lack of family support, a lack of knowledge about addiction, having a drug-using partner or one who sells drugs, unmet basic needs, stigma and stereotypes, the absence of workplace drug policies, and the characteristics of treatment facilities and of the programs themselves. The internal barriers highlighted in the research included a denial and a lack of motivation to change co-occurring disorders, which is common, and a lack of information about available treatment services.
The time has come to teach more than just academics in the classroom. That's according to patron of the Clarkson Foundation and Member of Parliament for St. James North, Edmund Hinkson. The foundation has hosted a number of initiatives which have empowered constituents, and Mr. Hinkson says he is particularly proud of the Life and Work Skills program. He says parenting is also an area where help is needed. Mr. Hinkson was speaking during the Edmund Hinkson and Clarkson Foundation award ceremony held over the weekend.
We have to also move away from just looking at teaching the academics, but also teach life skills in our schools and from early o'clock. You know, conflict resolution, anger management, teamwork, critical thinking. These are fundamental issues that we need to teach, and perhaps we haven't, and we have a former Minister of Education here as well, Most Honorable Reggie, and perhaps we haven't done that as well as we could have within our formal educational profile, and through, therefore, the foundation, we did that.
Celebrating what we already have and looking forward to the future. That's how principal of the St. Gabriel School, Agatsina Chandler, described the school's open day at the Henry's Lane St. Michael Institution. Trevor Thorpe was there.
An open day at St. Gabriel School held under the theme, Here, There and Everywhere. That idea is reflected in artwork, drama and different elements designed to showcase various destinations around the world. It's presented in such a way that even Principal Agatsina Chandler is impressed.
The amazing work presented by the students, it's mind-blowing. I know the constraints of the curriculum and time and all the other demands that are on our children and our staff, but to see the variety. I've seen snippets through the weeks, but to see it all come together today, I am blown away as a principal. I'm very proud. Today is a hive of excitement. We have a lot of parents here, as you can see. Everyone's going into the different classrooms. The children have their passports, which they're stamping as they go into each class, going to places like India and Canada and Venezuela, and just really enjoying seeing what the other students have done.
Ms. Chandler says the event is held every 2 years to give current and prospective parents a good indication of what the school has to offer and its plans.
This is the first year that we've had 2 nursery classes, so we've expanded as a school, and we are looking in the future to expand possibly to a secondary school department as well. So we're looking forward to the future and celebrating what we have today as a school, a very vibrant, multicultural school that represents Barbados and our region and the world.
She also says the school is willing to work with the Education Ministry regarding its efforts at education transformation.
We were part of the initial discussions, not so much recently, so we would love to be involved more. At St. Gabriel's, we always try to embrace new changes as well as the way we do things. We've always had child-centered approach. We expose our children to all the subject areas all the way up to class 4. We use project learning already, a very integrated approach where all the subjects are integrated. So our children are already exposed to a lot of new things, and we're looking forward to working with the ministry to find out what they have in mind.
St. Gabriel's is celebrating its 77th anniversary and currently has a student roll of 422. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
Well, happy anniversary. Changing focus now. A man is in police custody after an incident during which he ran naked through a neighborhood, damaging a number of cars along the way. That's according to Police Communications and Public Affairs Officer Acting Inspector Ryan Brathwaite, who says this happened around 5 p.m. on Saturday. He says police investigations reveal that the male driver of a motor car was involved in an accident with two other vehicles along Sweetville Road at its junction with Groves in St. George. According to him, the driver of the motor car then exited the vehicle stripped naked and ran along Sweetville Road towards Groves, damaging 8 vehicles along the way with his hands and rocks. Lawmen say he also injured a woman in the process, who subsequently sought private medical attention. The man is assisting police with their investigations.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Well, it's time for Anne-Marie to take us to the high seas. Good evening to you, Anne-Marie.
Good evening to you. And we begin with surfing. 3 of Barbados' male surfers advanced to the men's round of 64 when the action continued in the BTMI Barbados Surf Pro at the Soup Bowl in Bathsheba today. Tommaso Layson was the winner in his heat after registering a 9.67.
Tommy Layson, here we go. Better looking wave ahead of him. Comes out onto the open section, bangs it vertical. He's going to get around this one. That's the wave to work with on the inside. Wrapping cutback. Working it for as much as it's worth. Finishing maneuver strong.
Also winner was Caleb Rapson, whose wave total of 12.06 scored him the win in his heat.
Comes up, right up in the lip, pushes out the fins. Another north section, banging it vertical. Caleb Rapson's going to stick with this one. He's got 2 outside maneuvers. And he's going to kick out and try and get back out before blue.
And Ocean Gittins was the other local surfer advancing when he finished second in his heat with a score of 9.94.
And Green on the outside. Ocean Gittins from Barbados. Can he capitalize on this big turn? Yes, he does. Out onto the open face, cutting it back. He's going to try and stick with his power source. Wave could potentially take the low road, give him something to work with on the inside. Here we go. Ocean Gittins currently in 3rd position, looking to just replace a small score. So he had quite a good turn on the outside.
Unfortunately, Rafael Gooding was eliminated at this stage when he was 3rd in his heat. Tomorrow, Layson, Rapson and Gittins will join Josh and Jacob Burke and Louis St. John in the round of 64. While on the ladies' side, Chelsea Tuak and Chelsea Royd will go into the round of 32. Well, a strong Barbados squad has been announced for the Jean Pierre Caribbean Youth Netball Tournament, which is set for April 6 to 12 at the Garfield Sobers Gymnasium. The 6 teams participating are Antigua and Barbuda, host Barbados, Commonwealth of Dominica, Grenada, St. Lucia and Trinidad and Tobago. President of the Barbados Netball Association, Dr. Carmita Duglin, says the Barbados team has been hard at training and the players are fit and ready to take to the court. She's calling on all Barbadians to come out and support the junior national team.
The full squad is Taisha Trotman, Haley Roach, Kodia Gittins, Tyra Griffith, Brianna Wallace, Senya Brathwaite, Naya Otterson, and she is also the team captain. Kiara Hines, Tabia Cox, Azariel Clark, Makel Aline, Jakira Jones-Smith, Jazara Payne, Navia Jordan, and Zipporah Greenwich Mackey. We are inviting all of Barbados to come out and support the baby Bajan Gems as they aim for 4 straight wins.
A hat-trick from Shaquille Stewart booted defending champions Weymouth Wales to a 4-2 win over Ellerton when the latest round of the BFA Premier League continued at the Wildy Turf. Wales have moved to 27 points while Britainsill are second on 20 points after their win over Wharton. CBC's Damien Best reports.
Sunday afternoon at the Turf, Britainsill in the white with the black trim playing Wharton. In this opening matchup, it was end-to-end action before Britonshill unlocked the defence to make it 1-0 on 22 minutes to Shane Lord, dissecting the traffic. Change of ends for the second half. Britonshill free kick. The speedy Corey Hoyt meets it in a flash. The defence in shock. Britonshill 2, Wharton 0. Hoyt would get his brace in the 67th minute. The offside trap fails and the keeper's nutmeg to add a little more spice to it. 3-0 then is their way back for Wharton. The rain gale force started the process by meeting this cross at the far post in the 76th minute. 3-1 now. Hustle time. 10 minutes later, Britonshill paid the price for sitting too deep in their own half. Rico Ford in the 6-yard box, alert, and it's game on. 3-2. Well, fortunately for Britonshill, they survived the mini-storm and would hold on to the 3 points with a victory over Wharton. Second match, Kickstart Rush in blue playing UWI Blackbirds. No goals in the first half, but Kickstart will be annoyed not to have converted some of their chances. Fine margins in this one. On to the second we go. Both defences showing lots of resilience until a lapse 6 minutes from time in the UWI half saw Ethan Squires burst through and a neat finish. Kickstart Rush take the 1-0 victory over UWI Blackbirds. The feature encounter bringing together Weymouth Wales in their traditional green and Ellerton. Corner kick, Akeem Hill rising to the occasion off the forehead. Wales lead 1-0. Ellerton went close to restoring parity. Ramel Bino found some space, but the upright spoils his effort. Well, as they say, persistence is to try, and Greg Jones used his body as a shield before having a goal. Repaid for his efforts. 1-1 then at halftime. Wales with a fresh mindset for the second half. 51st minute, long throw in. Shaquille Stewart into the net at far post. 2-1. Wales with a little more purpose in their passing. Incoming, that Stewart converting on the doorstep. His second of the night and the team's third. 3-1 then. Wales gifted Ellerton their second goal after Kishmar Primus. Attempted clearance went horribly wrong. Anson Barrow appealing for the fall and the referee agrees. Penalty coming. Jones from 12 yards. Clinical. 3-2. Wales will make up for that blunder by adding a fourth via you-know-who. Stewart with his hat-trick trying his luck. And Jermaine Blackman out to see the table leaders with a comfortable 4-2 victory in the end.
The Business Report, brought to you by the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme, a department of the Ministry of Youth and Community Empowerment, supporting young entrepreneurs from idea to enterprise.
A personal scalp disorder gave birth to a breakthrough hair product for young businesswoman Ronisha Best, and she used the recently held AgroFest to open the doors to her enterprise. On tonight's Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme's Business Report, the creator and founder of Kashika's Essentials recalls how she got started in business. Trevor Thorpe reports.
For years, from the time I was a small child, I had an issue with my scalp dandruff. So I would wash my hair on a Sunday, and then by Tuesday, I'll be seeing like big scalp of dandruff in my hair. So that carried on for years.
That is the scenario that propelled Ronisha Best into action as she searched for a solution to her problem. It's a condition she had been battling for years, and after trying with a number of products and combinations, she finally got her eureka moment. The results of her extensive research and development is now available to the public.
Like the end of 2023, I started to do research about the different herbs, natural herbs that will help with my condition, and I came up with these seven ingredients. And when I put them together, I realized that the dandruff started to alleviate, and it was like I really have something here on my hand. So I know that if I have a problem, I'm able to solve it. There are other people out there that have the same issue as me, and we have a product that will be able to solve their issue as well.
The research threw up several useful discoveries, especially as they relate to hair.
Kashika Essentials is a natural hair care line, and we specifically cater for persons with afro hair or kinky hair. And right now we have the first product we have is the K7 hair oil blend. It's called K7 because the K stands for Keshika, which means woman with beautiful hair, and the 7 is dedicated to the 7 most powerful herbs in Ayurveda. And Ayurveda is just a holistic system of medicine that originated in India. So it's catered specifically to promote scalp health and promote also hair growth.
The Keshika Essentials founder credits the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme for the success of her business and relates how she began the YES program.
I heard about the Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme from a work colleague. I basically told him I would like to start my hair business, and he said, you know, there's this organization that comes over on CBC. They help entrepreneurs, so you can sign up. So I signed up and I took the training course. I had no idea how to run a business, and Youth Entrepreneurship Scheme provided me with the skills to start my business and to also continue to run it. So I have like a continual support system from YES.
The young entrepreneur is willing to help others facing similar problems.
So you can contact me at 847-6950.
And Miss Bess can also be found on Instagram at Keshika Essentials_1. Trevor Thorpe for the YES Business Report.
President of the Caribbean Community Private Sector Organization, Dr. Patrick Antoine, says the decision by the United States to impose a port fee of $1 million per port call on any Chinese-built vessel calling at U.S. ports will be devastating for CARICOM countries. The action by Washington is designed to punish Chinese shipbuilders and promote U.S. shipbuilding. But Caribbean countries, among others, have told the United States Trade Representative the measure would hurt economies that depend on U.S. trade. Antoine, in his request to appear before the USTR public hearings on the proposals in Washington, D.C., said that the fees would lead to an increase in the cost of goods being moved out of U.S. ports and into the Caribbean.
Sports Night, brought to you with the compliments of Great Health Works, agents for Omega XL.
Anne-Marie is back for a second bite at sports. Hey, Anne-Marie.
Hi, Tisha. I'm going to start with basketball. It was a lopsided affair when Queens College and Graydon City met on the basketball courts in Husbands. It was action from the National Sports Council Schools Under 15 competition. This game was nothing short of a steamroll as Queens College in the red and blue let Graydon City know you don't come to Husbands expecting to win. And by halftime, the QC Warriors were up 38-4. Way behind, Graydon City tried to press hard, but QC had a defense White House style. And Kimani Maynard steals, find your hats Marshall, who makes it an easy jumper. It was truly like chalk and cheese as Graydon City couldn't catch a break. Another steal. Again, it's Marshall. More money in the bank. I got to hand it to the boys from Garrison, though, for persevering, as this basket would not be the only one they got in the third quarter, but the last they would get for the game. And it was Harris to score it. So it's just to highlight the game's star player, saving the play to turn and make it count. That's Maynard with a game-high 18 points as Queens College went on to defeat Graydon Sealy at 68-6.
And that's news. Thank you so much for spending your time with us. On behalf of the entire crew, do enjoy the rest of your evening.